how you can now perceive even the smaller parts of yourself. You're going down to the atoms of your own body, the atoms of your physical structure. And you notice, and perhaps for some of you who might be scientifically oriented, you know that those atoms, of course, are very tiny. They vibrate, but that at that level, there's a lot of space in between those atoms. So what is in those between those atoms? That's where your divinity, of course, is. In that space between those atoms. There's a lot of divinity there, isn't there? And you thought it was somewhere else, and you thought that it was away from you. You thought that the veil was something outside of you, but the veil was in each of your cells.
Take a breath into any pressurized areas and let them just release, open. You feel that energy move. Even if it's uncomfortable, you melt into it. You surrender into the discomfort. It is dissolving the barriers that have been creating disharmony in your body and also in your mind and also in your outside world, because it's all one and the same. There's no difference. And one way we can access this to dissolve these barriers of separation is to melt into the body and feel safe and feel loved and feel supported and breathe that through every cell. In this timeless space, you come into the theta brainwaves and you clear out the subconscious mind. So you're doing this energy work for yourself every time you choose this beautiful sense of loving, embracing, effortless surrender. So it's like, oh, God, all is well. Why? Because I said so. I am that I am. That's that. It is that simple. There is no seeking the evidence outside of you. It is choosing to create that from the inside and letting that expand from the inside out. And it expands on its own.
Something can feel like a depression. Because if I really remember when I was depressed, when I felt in that, that dark, disconnected place, let's say 20 years ago, I can't even experience that anymore. It doesn't exist in the reality anymore because of this. Because you see, once all of the parts of yourself, let's say, even if parts are not integrated, let's say, when you have an aspect is a non-integrated part of yourself. When it integrates, whether it goes into neutral and nothing, back into energy, or whether it stays, if it stays, wants to keep developing, then it becomes a facet, meaning that it has sovereignty and it's integrated. It's not anymore feeling that separation. But once I introduced the self-love, when the presence of soul, once I really became aware of that presence of soul that is undefinable, and once I started to really integrate those parts of myself, then even the unintegrated aspects completely change, because they all realize that at any time that they're ready, they can integrate. You see, because that's so different than before, when all of me that I was aware of lived in the disconnected space where we didn't know that the soul is real. But once you realize that the soul is real, everything changes. So even those parts that perhaps maybe take a few years before they're ready, because they feel so angry and pissed off, and they just don't know how to love. They don't know if they're lovable or whatever, but they know with absolute assurity that whenever they are ready to come home, they can come home. You see, so that completely changes the game. And so once that happened, I couldn't go back into that full-on depression where everything is hopeless, because from then on, nothing was hopeless anymore.
Your words are so powerful, and that's where
they're your truth. They're your truth.
These aspects that we expand and then they're floating out here, they're spiraling out. And so like depression is spiraling out, or fear or anger. So like instead of saying, oh, I was angry, I'll be, oh, there's this feeling of anger. Like, so I never say I am that, or, I, I was a I was, and I'll stop and say, all right, guys, speaking to all myself, because we're crazy. I'll say that one out loud. No, but I'll say, okay, I know this isn't me, but I want to address it, and I want to make sure I'm not like denying it and that I'm feeling it. So I'm feeling all this. It feels like maybe anger, rage, fear, terror, whatever, depression, whatever words, but I don't even want to define it, but I'll just be like, I'm feeling this here. So what's going on? Show me, what, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just a critical, it's like, it seems like such a subtle little thing in a way, because we're so conditioned that we are melded with these aspects as though they are us, these identities. That's huge. Yeah. Then you, instead of, I wish I had money. No, when that thought comes, that aspect comes, you say, why do you want money? You start connecting with them and from a totally different perspective, and understanding them and integrating them from that awareness. And that is a key shift that, when I talk to people and they're saying, well, I wish this was different, or I feel bad about this stuff. Okay. You don't feel bad. You have an aspect that feels bad. Like, we got to start. So the clarity of what's you and what is not, because you're actually not those little aspects. You never were, that's not who you are. That's just one little teeny tiny split off thing. And so that is the hugest shift, when you fully own that and you don't go back. It's like everything just, it's game over.
Changer, yeah, game changer. Even if the earth explodes tomorrow, whatever happens, like we get the world of the dead, zombies, it nothing can take that away from me, because it's not dependent on anything else except for me, as me choosing I am always, and nothing outside can change or touch that space inside.
Totally. Nobody can take it. Nobody can give it to you. Nobody can take it. It's all yours.